Happy Wednesday. I got Ray on with me today. He's a Leah member. We're talking about different things, getting, we all procrastinate, we all do this crap, and how we sometimes it's just hard to just stay the course. So we're just kind of gonna go through that today. Come up with a plan for Ray and kind of like hit on some markets and stuff like that he's picking and he's gonna work on. Before we get going, I wanted to remind everybody about the mastermind coming up. Definitely check this out. It's going to be pretty freaking awesome. Mastermind Vegas. A lot of the pre-sale seats have already sold out. I know this says only 25, but a lot of them are already sold out. It's actually pretty much sold out. And a lot of the standard pre-sale tickets have sold already. Event was awesome. Last year's event was awesome. This event is going to be way better. It's way bigger. Definitely check that out. And then two, I'm going to share this. Everybody asked, here's our PA right here, landinvestor.co/PA. This is the actual PA that we use right here. It's all blurred out, so nobody copies it, but it's free. So you're going to get a copy once you go in here and boom, put your info right there. You get a copy. So also, I'm going to bring Ray up. What's up, man?
What's happening, man? I still have not got my tickets for the mastermind, dude. I have to do that. I got to do that. Last year was awesome.
Yeah, last year was good, and it's going to be way better. We have more speakers, more people, more everything. And it's just a bigger event. I think last year we had 100 people, 120. This year is 300 plus. So it's going to be really, really good. The event space is insane. I think it's a very expensive event. So it should be really good. So Ray, just tell me a little bit about like what we're trying to do. So I know you've been in Leah for a while, and marketing's been like kind of like little wavy, would you say?
It's been a little hit or miss. Yeah, I took a long time getting started, to be honest with you. I like to overanalyze things and think about stuff too much. So I took, it took me a long time to actually get started.
Yeah, we all do that.
Markets that I did pick, I just had issues with bad data, and a lot of the one market I pulled had a bunch of houses in it because the county didn't record the right way. So the filters that we use, for picking property didn't really work. So I sent a bunch of people, with 4,000 square foot houses, letters for, hey, I want to buy your property for 30 grand or whatever. So some of that, and I picked another market that just had bad data where the APNs didn't match and I couldn't get the location. So there was some of that, but
Yeah, it happens. I've mailed a bunch of counties that I totally botched or sent bad data and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh man, screwed that one up. It was a waste of money, but
just got to move on. It is what it is,
Yeah, like we talked to Anthony Reese a couple weeks ago, and his process, the way he does everything, the way he scrubs and everything like that, he leaves like no room for a mess up, right? He checks everything like 16 times, and he goes through his even when he gets his merge proofs back, he sits there and like goes through every single one to make sure it's like merged right.
Wow.
Which is pretty crazy. But yeah, he's awesome. I think he's gotten like a 28 or 26x ROAS, return on ad spend.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's nuts.
Yeah,
yeah, Anthony checks everything. Yeah, he totally does. But that might be like a good, if you're trying to not mess up, going through all those checks and balances are definitely worth it. But it's also like you gotta get into your own head, right? With that stuff, if you're doing too much.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line between just sending the mail out and overanalyzing it until you're blue in the face,
Yeah, that's kind of why I like just sending it out. And I was blasting for a while, just like blasting a whole bunch of mail out. And then we were like, let's refine this. How can we refine the systems to make sure it's like a lot more consistent and a lot less like, we're getting bad leads and this and that. That's kind of why we went through that scrubbing process now, but we still blast, but we scrub like crazy.
So what are you using to scrub? I know you're using Land Vision. I still have a let me get some water, man. I can't.
Yeah, we use so we were using whatchamacallit, our data Land Vision, and then we manually scrub going to Land ID and looking up each property individually.
Oh
It's
wow,
Yeah, it's very
time.
long, arduous process. We have 2 people who do it full time, more than full time, so it's a lot. But the way Land Insights now does it, it actually could shave off a lot of time because now you can just upload the list and they'll do it for you, which is pretty sick. I haven't personally used it yet, but I've seen how it does for landlocked and it's awesome. Um, so that's another consideration is like, okay, do we just switch over to doing that? But right now, I think the way we do it, because we used to only do 4 points. Now we switched to 10. Now we actually just switched to 20 different points we scrub for, and we flag everything gets a flag. So every single piece of property gets a tag for something and says like it's a good normal, it's this, it's prime, it's beachfront, it's this front, whatever. So that this way we know later on we could just pull and extract those specific ones. It's definitely not something I recommend people to do if you're just getting into things, but it's definitely a growth horizon to get into.
That's a lot of data points, man.
Yeah, yeah,
I've
we're
seen cool
pulling.
stuff is landlocked, flood zone, right? Shape.
Mhm. Yeah, shape, flood zone, topography. We scrub for house, lot, mobile homes, unknowns, this, that, all that stuff, everything, and it's a lot. But the reason why we do it is we own that whole list now, so we'll scrub like 10,000 records and whittle it down to like 1,500 that we're actually mailing.
Wow.
So it's a lot, but we pull probably 200,000 records a month right now on Land Vision, if not more.
So you have a full time guy that's just doing the scrubbing.
Yeah, actually, he does about 100 hours a month, a week. I'm sorry, 100 hours a week scrubbing. Guy's nuts. He doesn't stop.
That's
um, yeah, he's insane. So, all right. So you got some markets selected. Now it's just basically you're ready to, all the knowledge, you have everything. You've been in group coaching for a while. Now it's just a matter of like, okay, how can I just put pedal to the metal kind of thing, right?
exactly. That's kind of where I'm at now. Is to just catch up for lost time. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I
It's
had some
hard.
personal stuff going on that kind of knocked me off track for the past couple months. So just trying to get my head back in the game. You know.
Yeah, you know what? Like, it's really hard to stay consistent when life keeps punching you in the gut. It's like, are you supposed to stay consistent? But at the end
Yeah,
of the day, like,
last year has been like that, man. It's like one thing after the next. Like we were talking about, offline. I just broke up with my girlfriend of 5 years. My dad just passed away, so
mhm,
just dealing with a lot of stuff that's kept me from wanting to sit in front of a computer and look at spreadsheets. So I've been, I haven't done
yeah,
much the past couple months, to be perfectly honest with you.
yeah,
But life goes on, and you got to keep moving forward. So it's
yeah.
time to make it happen.
I mean, have you considered maybe even just getting like a part-time VA just to help you keep consistent?
I mean,
Like,
it wouldn't be a bad idea. Anything to help keep me accountable would help.
yeah.
I have a terrible problem procrastinating too, man. I'm the worst.
I know. So, like, even if you get like a 10-hour a week VA that pay $5 an hour and it's $50 a week, but you just train them to do like whether it's scrubbing data, whether it's pulling data, whatever the case may be, just train them to do something like that. Now it's like you have a job that you have to keep them busy. So it might give you some motivation to do that. Um,
That's not a bad idea. And if they're doing some of the stuff I don't feel like doing, it would take some of that
yeah.
away as well.
Yeah. This way you could get past all that stuff and then just it's a matter of like, okay, let's do this. Do the things you actually like to do.
Right.
So
And that's
uh,
$50 a week too. It's like,
$50 a week. And then if they eventually like it and you need more time, you could probably add more hours for them. Like it
sure.
shouldn't be an issue at all. So that might be a good idea. Maybe create like a roadmap of like things you like to do, things you hate. Like that's one thing I like doing is when I'm starting into something, I'll write down all the tasks, every task that the job is associated with, and I'll put like things next to it, like do I like doing this? Yes, no, whatever. And I'll put my name on things that I really like doing, right? Like for me, I like picking the markets. I like double checking the mail before it goes out, like the price points, and I check the merge proofs. And I check the deals and I talk to the realtors and stuff like that. That's like my 5 tasks. Everything else is other people because I enjoy those 5 tasks. It's like, oh, and I'm raising private capital. Like those are my 6 tasks, right? So those are the main things I look at and I do. But I have Michelle, who's my main assistant. She does pretty much everything for me. She does all the back end pricing, all like manages the team, make sure everybody's doing their things, has work, all that stuff. That's like her job. And then we have Jenny who does pricing for us and some scrubbing, and then Abrar does all our scrubbing, and then Rob goes back through, make sure the merch proofs are good, make sure the mail's set up, he makes sure the systems are working, he makes sure all that stuff is just kind of flowing. So, and actually, that's another thing too, is like having a partner, I think is like the best because what we're able to do is like shit, like weeks that I'm like feeling shitty and I don't feel like doing anything, Rob like steps up and does it. And then same thing when he's not doing anything, I kind of step up and do it. So it's like everybody goes through this. Actually, there was I forgot what book I read. I think it was Traction. I'm pretty sure it was Traction. So they talk about this. There's psychologically, most people have about a 90-day attention span where they're consistent and do everything great for 90 days, right? Especially when they get into something new. It's like if you start the gym, start going hiking, start doing whatever the thing is, right? You're like consistent with the 90 days, right? I love this. This is the best thing ever. I'm going to do this all the time. Then eventually you taper off and you start, I'll skip a day. I'll skip another day. Next thing you know, you're skipping weeks at a time and you just completely give up, right? The same thing happens in business all the time. So what they talk about in this book is setting up like 90-day meetings with your team, and the team could be yourself or whatever the case would be. It's just some kind of cadence, but setting that up and then reanalyzing what you're doing and setting new goals for the next 90 days. So you have something to shoot for in that smaller span. And that allows you to like stay focused because you're like, okay, well, the goal is to get this done in the next 90 days. How can I get that done? Maybe you'll get it done in the next 2 days. Great. But if not, then okay, you still have the 90 days to do it. And then going back and looking at everything. Okay, did I actually achieve my goals? No. What did I do wrong? Okay, how can I fix that? Right. So that I find helps a lot too. But yeah, I mean, it might be helpful for you just to find somebody to do a short little 10-hour a week thing. You know, I don't think you need
Yeah,
much.
I like that idea. I like the 90-day idea as well. That is an interesting statistic because it makes sense. How many people, join the gym and, New
Mhm,
Year's resolution by March, they're done. So
mhm.
yeah, makes a lot of sense.
It does. It's so true. And most people that get past that 90-day hump actually stay consistent with something for a really long time. But a lot of people don't get past that 90-day hump and they quit.
Yeah, I
Um,
think once you establish the habit, it becomes a lot easier. I guess you just have to, I don't know. I guess you just
yeah,
have to really like what you're doing.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that might be a good thing. I think maybe making a list of all the tasks and just kind of going through them. Like for for instance, like we know as far as it goes, it's like picking markets. Do you like doing that?
I actually don't.
Okay, so there you go. So
Yeah,
you could train somebody up on saying like, "Hey, this is what we look for. Find it." Like, find these types of markets, and then you just have to review them and make sure they're good markets, right?
yeah.
So that might be something.
I
Do
mean,
you like?
it's weird. I do and I don't. There's parts about it that I like, but then it just becomes so repetitive and kind of
Yes.
time to make the donuts kind of thing, where it's just like I have a hard time sitting still too.
Yeah.
Amongst all my other problems, I'm probably pretty ADD as well, right? So
I have ADHD, so I totally know what you. I'm like I can't sit still, so I have to like always do stuff. It's my hands are always moving.
yeah,
So
definitely the same way.
yeah, but no, it sucks, and that's why it's good to like start pushing these tasks off. You should read the book Who Not How. That was a really good book.
Who
Check
not?
it, yeah, check it out on Audible. It's Dan Kennedy. I think it's Dan Kennedy, and I forgot the author. Really good book. It talks more about like instead of asking how can I do this, who can I, it's basically reframing and saying who can do this for me, kind of thing.
Right. Who can I delegate
Um,
it to?
yeah, honestly, it's a great book. I love it. So
We need our own channel in Discord just for books. I feel like it's like you and me and a couple other book nerds that are constantly like talking about good reads. Yeah, we
yeah,
should
I'm
do that.
totally down. I've actually talked about doing like a book club inside Leah, and I
We
think we should
should.
do
I'm reading Never Split the Difference right now. That guy's a badass too, man. What a great book.
yeah, it's a great book. It's pretty crazy. It's like when you talk about it, like the stuff that he dealt with, and you're like, damn, okay, this guy pretty nuts.
Life or death. Like it
Like,
had to
yeah,
work.
yeah,
Like there's no yeah, there's no compromise. It either works or everybody dies. The
yeah.
guy's a FBI hostage negotiator for anybody
Mhm.
wondering about
Yeah,
it.
it's a really good sales tactic book because he talks about like what to do, like how to negotiate, even when, if you're in like the lower like it's basically adjusting your position and mirroring a lot of it, right? So you put yourself in the hierarchy, you adjust, you agree, and then everything like that, like how to mirror a seller and all that stuff. It's actually really good.
Yeah.
Um, Extreme Ownership, that was a good book too. Jocko Williams, Extreme
I
Ownership.
love Jocko. I haven't read the book, but I've listened to a bunch of his podcasts. I like Jocko a lot.
Yeah, it's a good book. It's basically just being like, hey, I fucked up. I'm the reason why this is not working. Like I'm the all that stuff. It's a really good book.
Yeah, he's huge on personal accountability and stuff.
oh yeah, yeah, it's good. I like that book too. Um, but yeah, like Who Not How talks a lot about okay, how can I get somebody else to do this? If I ever have to say how can I do this, like how do I price these markets? How do I pick markets? It's like instead of saying that, it's like who can do this for me, right? And you just surround yourself with better who's, right? It's almost like Henry Ford said this. He's like there was somebody that was questioning him. It was like a reporter was questioning him, and he's asking him all these questions, and they're like, "Do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do that?" And he was like going on and on and on. And the guy was like, eventually Henry Ford's like, "Why are you asking me all these engineering questions?" He's like, "I'm not an engineer." He's like, "But I do have a button that I can hit right now and get 10 of the smartest engineers in this room in like the next 5 seconds." He's like, "I don't need to know that. I have these guys." And it's so true. Like
I
once
heard
you
a
start
quote.
surrounding yourself.
The quote is like, "The people that know how will always work for the people that know why."
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a really good one. So become the why. Like why, you know how to do it, or you're the how, right? So how can I get somebody else to do this, right? Find the who can do it for you, right? So pick the things that you like doing, keep them, and then pick everything else. And eventually the goal would be to get yourself out of everything, you know? That's kind of where I'm trying to get out of is like how can I get out of everything and not do just basically check in on everything. That's my eventual goal. It's going to take me time, but
I think
it will.
Rylan and Sumner are probably there already, or
Rylan,
close
yeah.
to it.
I was talking to Rylan yesterday. He's like, I'm actually bored because I don't do anything for my business anymore. I was like, that's awesome, man. That's the
That's a
way to
great
be.
problem to have.
Yeah. I mean, he's what, year 4 in the business? So you eventually get it. It just,
Like 25 years old or something.
yeah, it's pretty nuts.
It's super nuts. I'm just trying to think where I was at when I was 25. I could barely afford furniture for my apartment.
Yeah, 25. I was in the union. I was just topping out. Actually, I topped out a year prior. I topped out at 24 as a journeyman, and then I was buying my first house. But I was like, we were flipping houses like a maniac back then.
Were
I
you a
was
GC or electrical contractor?
electrical. I was electrical union, and I had a friend who was flipping houses, and he brought me in, and I flipped like 300 houses with him, just doing all the electrical and stuff like that. And like we would go and during Hurricane Sandy, he would buy entire blocks of houses from the bank and that were like totally like destroyed. So we would go in there, rewire the whole house, raise it up and everything, and then he would go and sell them. So that's kind of how I learned how to flip houses and stuff like that. And
What year was that? Sandy was
2012,
okay.
2012. Yeah. So we did that from like 2011. We started doing a lot of flips, and then 2000, I think like 14 was kind of when most of the Sandy stuff kind of stopped because that's like a lot of the FEMA and everything money ended and all that stuff. So,
Right.
but anyways, yeah. So all right. So maybe pick some tasks. So you don't like doing picking the markets. Can you train somebody to do that for you?
Yeah, I mean, I should just do it and stop. You know,
Yeah.
you got to do things you don't like. Is the bottom line. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
I like the idea of bringing somebody on part time, but I should and teaching them how to do stuff. But
Yeah.
I have no problem doing it. I should. We're talking about Jocko. Like, what would he say? Like,
Yeah.
man
Suck it
up,
up.
son. Man
Yeah.
up. Just
do you
do it.
have do you have Loom?
I do.
Okay, so start every time you do a task, just record a quick Loom. So
Add to the SOPs. Yeah.
yeah, you see my SOPs. That's kind of what I have. It's like how I do this, how I do that. And honestly, it made everything so easy because like I'll show you my this is actually my old one, but this is my SOPs, how to make a copy of a template, how to find your sell through rate, how to pick a market based on STR, all that stuff, modular pricing, pull sales comps, everything. So this is all my old stuff. And now we've updated it like recently, like more granular pricing and everything that goes there, how to pick markets, everything. So we would just do this. We would create these looms and then it's there. And now when I want to hire somebody for this position, I would just send
That,
them
that
this video and just be like, hey, watch this. Do you understand it? Okay, cool. Let's train you on how to do this. Show them once or twice. Then I tell them to record a loom for me, send it back to me. I'll watch them do it. This way we don't have to sit on meetings. Because some people would suck when they're at a meeting doing something, but when they're off a meeting and doing it, they're fine.
yeah.
So they'll send me back a loom and I'll look at it and be like, okay, cool, that's good. Just change this, this, and this. And they're trained. Now you're done. Now go to the next thing, you know? So you do that a couple times. And I honestly think one of the secrets of hiring a good VA is finding someone that's willing to start working with you less and then work with you, grow with you kind of thing.
Sure. And maybe even eventually, kind of flourish into another role at some point.
That's
So
what
I
I
don't know
think.
how much time we have left, but I think one of the issues that I could probably use some help with is whittling down the list, scrubbing. I was just going to run everything through Land Vision and scrub for um, wetlands. And I think, is it doing like weird shapes now and stuff too, or just wetlands and landlocked stuff?
Let's see. I don't know. I gotta check and see if everything got updated on that yet.
But I mean, some of the stuff that you're scrubbing for would be helpful because what I'm working on right now is I've got about 10, what do I have? 10, I think I have 8 to 10 counties that I'm ready to market to, but I want to whittle it down to the lowest hanging fruit, the people that are the most likely to sell. So maybe if
Yeah.
you could show me some of how you're scrubbing for that stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna see this too. If let's see.
I think, or maybe it's doing landlocked. I think it's doing landlocked and flood zone, wetland stuff. I don't know if it's doing the shapes yet. I think they were
Yeah,
talking.
they've been talking about it. I don't know if they did it yet. I gotta check with the team. I know it's coming up though, but I'll show you quickly, like mine. Um, and actually, I mean, I could show you even how I hired somebody to even do it.
Because that
You
would
know?
probably be a great first role for a VA if I hire somebody. Is just like go through this list and pull out all the weird shape stuff, for example, stuff that I can't scrub for with my vision.
Exactly. So yeah, because I mean, Land Insights once it's done, it's gonna be your go-to.
Or land
Um,
insights, that's what I meant. Not
yeah. But so what I do is this. So like this is our 20 different parameters we scrub through. So this is the raw data. So basically everything just goes into this list and we go here. We're gonna just pop into land ID, sign in. I just give them access to my land ID and give them the whatchamacallit, the spreadsheet. And that's pretty much it. So ID land. This was Alabama. DeKalb.
That's corn country right there, son.
Corn country. Kalb. So that's pretty much it. They'll go like this. They'll look at the property and they'll just say, okay, it's got road frontage. It's pretty a normal-ish lot. So they'll come into here and they'll just label it too, good shape. And then they'll go to the next line.
Wow. So every APN they're going through that entire sheet.
Yep.
That's definitely a good job for a VA. That would
Yeah.
make me. I would go nuts after like an hour doing that.
Yeah. So what they do is they turn it on 3D. And this is their job. They turn it on 3D. They hop over here. They look at the parcel, and they just make sure it's exactly like it looks good. Like, okay, it's not too doesn't have too much topo. It doesn't have all this. It's got road frontage. It's a slightly odd, like kind of like a flagpole shape. So they'll mark that as 3 odd shape. Like here's a landlocked one.
Then does this play into price? This is obviously, I would think it would play into pricing as well, right?
Yeah. So once I know what I got here, what are all the good ones? So like this is landlocked. So I'm not gonna mail this guy at all because I mean you can see she does have other parcels, but maybe we're gonna mail one of her better parcels that's not landlocked, kind of thing. And we'll just go line by friggin' line. It's a lot. It takes them a lot of time and everything like that. You can see it's currently landlocked. So they got that much and they still have to go. Yeah, they have 6,300 records to pull that they're gonna scrub. We'll probably get maybe 1,000 out of that. So
But when the phone starts ringing, it's a property you guys want.
exactly. So this is something that actually we scrubbed and now we're re-scrubbing it just because it got messed up. We had noticed some stuff, whatever. So we're re-scrubbing it right now. And then let's see. Colby Florida, is this one done? I'll show you. I want to show you a done one. No, not even started. Price. Check out that. So we'll go good in prime. So they didn't even do this one yet either. So we have all data raw. This one's not done yet either. Let's check this one. All right. So of the sold data, I know it's sold data. Let's go all data raw. So you got how many properties? We have, this is a smaller list, 2,700. We're only going to be reaching out to 1,100. So half the list is gone. A little more than half the list is gone. So right away, like, okay, half that list is gone, but all these properties are good. So when I'm mailing these and the leads come in, they're all good properties, right?
So when they check off good, normal, or prime, that's based on all those different, whatever those 14, 13, 14 different parameters were. It has to check every one of those boxes.
Yeah, so good normals like has road frontage. It has here. Let me go to here. One of these. Okay. So prime is larger than 5 acres with more than 2 sides of road frontage. Good normals with road frontage. Irregular edges are okay, especially for larger lots. 3 is like odd shaped flagpole lots, has some road frontage, very weird shape. No access, mostly flood zone, more than one block. No, very steep. Basically, there's no flat spots or no way to drive onto the parcel. There's a house on the lot, large transmission lines, can't find info on the parcel. Like that's the 10 basic ones. And then if we're doing like a beachy area, then we have other parameters we add into.
Gotcha. So, and then you're only mailing 1s and 2s off of that list?
1s and 2s. And then what it does is because I have all the data, I can mail the odd shapes because it has some road frontage, but very weird shape. I could mail them still and just mail them at a lower price.
Sure.
Hey, we'd be interested in parcel, whatever. It's a little bit different of a shape. Boom. Send that. Landlocked, I would mail them as like a neutral letter or cold call them as a neutral and just be like, hey, if you have access, we'd be interested in purchasing it. If they don't have access, they're going to ignore us. Wetlands, not really interested in that. Mobile home parks, I'm trying to buy mobile home parks. That's why this is separated. Very steep. I mean, it's very steep. What are you going to really do with it? So that's kind of like, you ignore that. House and lot, ignore. Power line easement, you could buy it for super cheap if you wanted, but I would just ignore that kind of thing. And then the unknowns we might mail with like the odd shapes. So, but we have the data. We could always go back and mail it if we wanted, right? That's kind of the thought process behind it. So,
I like that idea, really kind of whittling it down to only stuff.
yeah, and you could actually whittle it down again too. Because then if you take those and then say, okay, or you do this before you pull your data, let's look at stuff. Like I've talked to a bunch of people, and some of the guys talk to when they notice that most of their deals have not sold within the past 5 years. Okay. And they get their best deals when it's like between a certain parameter. And if they own the land for more than 18 years, they usually want more than 50% market. So it's like this weird little like data they've noticed. I don't think it's always true, but
Interesting.
yeah, some of that stuff. So like you could go and say, I don't want anything that's sold in the last 5 years. I don't want any of that. So separate that out. Then you could say, okay, I want, sellers who are X amount of old, or, sellers who live out of state, whatever. So now you get out of state, you get hasn't sold in the last 5 years. You scrub it so it's only good land, and then, keep whittling that down. Right. So that's three things they hit on. You're going to have a higher chance to actually get a good property and actually get a deal.
I gotta get land vision too for the unlimited data pool thing. That would get super expensive with
Yeah.
data tree.
Yeah, totally. I'll pull some data for you now though. So I'll give you my thing. You can just pull whatever you want. Yeah.
Is it all caps? Somebody was using it saying that the names are only all caps. Do you use a spreadsheet to change that?
I don't think it matters. Yeah, it's all caps.
Gotcha.
I don't think that matters when you send it to Rocket Print. It comes out fine.
Oh, they fixed it at Rocket Print.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I've never had an issue. Like when the merge was come back, they look normal.
Oh yeah. Cool.
But I think you could adjust the data when you pull it. I don't know. I've never really even looked at it. I've never paid attention to it, to be honest with you. I just pulled it.
You could figure something out in Excel too. I just feel like it's probably more likely to get opened if it's not all caps. I don't know if I get something that's all caps. This
Mhm.
is probably junk. I don't know. It could just be in my head too. I don't know.
Possibly. Yeah, I never even noticed or looked at that. I'm sure there is a setting though. Um, Here, actually, I have my Vision app. Let me look at that. So I'm sure there's a setting somewhere. When you go to pull this, you could change your parameters, all that stuff. Of course, it's not going to do it because I don't have any data out, but I could adjust all this stuff here, like what data I'm pulling, what type of stuff, everything. And then also too, when you're pulling data, you could do last market sale, custom between whatever, or last sale. You would do last sale date custom, and then make sure it's like below or between. You could do like 19 whatever to 5 years ago, and then pull that. So that's where you know that. And then location, make sure like the owner is not doesn't live there. All that. So there's so many different things, man. Um, and then too, when you scrub that data, you could pull, or when you pull that data, you could check out like when something last sold and all that stuff, and just scrub it out. So
I need
um,
to see how much time I have left on data tree. So I'm locked into a year contract, but
I
as soon
know.
as that's over, I'm definitely switching to land vision.
Yeah, you could if you talk to them, they'll give you like a 1 year subscription. It's like upfront, and you'll get unlimited data with them. I just don't know how much it is, but
Unlimited data with data tree?
yeah, somebody was telling me about that. I haven't looked into it, but somebody said that if you call them and negotiate it out, they'll let you just pull as much data as long as you kind of like tell them like I'll pay up front for the year thing. I don't know. I don't know exactly how it works. It's a certain thing, but I'd already gotten Land Vision. So and Land Vision gets their data from
Data tree, right?
yeah, so there's no difference. So this is worth it if you're pulling. All right, so this is only worth it if you're pulling more than 10,000 records a month. That's the cutoff, pretty much.
Sure.
So I pull, between 100 and 200,000 records a month, easy, because I'll pull data from other people and all this stuff. So I'm always pulling data.
And scrubbing it down if half your list or more is going away too.
Yeah. Some when we get down to like a tenth of the list is actually being mailed. So like I pulled a Monmouth County, New Jersey, and I think that list was like 4,000 records. I think we're only going to mail like 400 people out of it. So like it's all scrubbed out. It's just crazy.
Jersey, right in your backyard, huh?
That's why I'm doing it. One, I want to be able to go to a couple of these parcels because they're local, just for why not. And two, I'm looking for something for myself too. So
Nice.
we want to get some good chunk of land just to have out here for a little farm. So yeah. All right. So yeah. So I would do this: take tasks, create looms, and then I would create a loom, and then you go like through Leah. There's online PH jobs and stuff like that, or you can just go on Upwork, post the loom, and just say, "Hey, I'm looking for somebody to help me do this 10 hours a week. Blah blah blah. This is the tasks. Here you go." And you'll train them and whatever, and then just invite a couple people. You'll have people jumping through the screen to come work with you.
Yeah, I like having somebody scrub all that data and kind of whittle the list down to exactly like you're doing. I think that'd be a great first job for a VA.
Yeah, and then this way now you're only getting good properties and all that stuff. And it's definitely the way. And then also too, we're only looking to get deals that we can make more than $30,000 per deal, right? So we specifically don't mail anything with a market value less than 75K. So that's kind of like our niche we kind of fit into. So by doing that, by having that intention, one, you're going to also shorten your list again. So like it might be like, okay, I'm going to mail from 75K to 200K, whatever the case may be, market value, so that you could just make sure like I'm going to be able to get the funding and all that stuff. So mail those specifically. Well, now your list gets even smaller and then even smaller. Like all these little tweaks that you add to shrink your list a little bit, that means you could most likely save a bunch of money and probably get a higher response rate.
And your response rate is still pretty good. You're mailing at 55-ish%.
Yeah, so we are, and we're mailing when we were doing homogenous markets. So we mail the whole county as one price. Our response rate was about 0.3 to 0.4% on average, right? Now there were things in our stuff, our contract and everything like that we had in there that we actually took out because we wanted to change it to see if we get a better response rate. Now we shut down our business essentially for like 45 days. Didn't mail anything, didn't do anything at all, and redid everything. We redid our mailer, we redid all our stuff, everything. Pricing, how we price, our zip codes, our scrubbing, everything. And then we just re-sent everything out. And so far, our total, like between for the counties that we just hit this week, or this, that just hit this week, we've had a 1% response rate overall over all 4 counties. If you look at just the one county, we've had a 1.5% response rate, which is insane. And then, other counties we've getting like 0.4, but it averages out to 1% for the total like bunch of mailing. So it's been pretty good. That was only like
scrubbing. You weren't doing any of that before either, right?
No.
And you also took double close verbiage out as well.
Yeah, we took that out. We took all that stuff out because more than likely I'm going to end up sending them a new contract when I get when they did. So I'm not worried about that. So took all that stuff out, and then our response rate went way up, which is awesome. And then the other thing we did is so actually sorry, that was about 6,000 pieces that we sent, and then we're sending another, I think 10,000 just went out. So we're gonna see how much we get. But I should have a good feel of my numbers by the time we hit like 30,000 pieces out. I should know kind of what our KPIs are for that, our response rate KPIs. So some markets you get crickets. And that's why honestly, if you're gonna mail a bunch of markets at once. So yeah, Jeff. No, Jeff, I never did remove my contract completely. I talked to a bunch of people that didn't do this, and they all say the same thing. Like that just adds validity to it by putting your contract, because now at least they can read it. So I never did. How much mail you're sending each month these days? What's your total yield per mail? Trust me. So we're trying to send about 20,000 a month right now. Yield per mailer. Yield per mailer. What do you mean yield per mailer? I'm not sure what you mean by yield per mailer. We look at like
maybe.
Yeah, I guess ROAS, return on ad spend. We've been averaging like between like a 23x return on ad spend based off, because we're going for higher, bigger properties. But that's the other thing. Sometimes you get one that just completely skews it and sends it up because one's a big property and it just sells for more. That just happens though. Deals closed per mailer. Oh, deals closed per mailer. So on average, it's about one contract per 3,000 that we mail, but that was the old one. So I'm hoping now to get like a closed contract per 2,000. That's what I'm trying to get my KPIs down to. So, yeah. So for you, you said you have markets already picked, right?
I do. I have several counties that I want to whittle it down to. I want to try to get to 10,000 a month at first for the next couple months. So I think I want to just pick the best of those. Whether it's an acreage range that's moving the best in a certain county or certain zip codes or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, that's a good play to do too, as well as like look at different acreage ranges and see which ones are moving the most.
Right.
So there's one county that I'm looking at that we're sending only 40 acres plus, because anything below that, nobody's buying. So
one of the counties I'm looking at, it's the same one. I don't remember which one it is off the top of my head, but 40 and up, the pricing gets super homogenous. The genie's like 18 or something, which is crazy for bigger stuff. And then another county, it's like the 5 to 10s are flying off the shelf, but the 20s to 40s aren't really moving so much. So I'm gonna go through each one and kind of pick. And
yeah, it's good to like when you look at that stuff, and then you could kind of figure out like, all right, this market, the demand is for this, and like, okay, if I know the demand in this market is the 5 to 10 acres, let me just look for 5 to 10 acres.
Right.
Well, now you could really reduce your mailing down a lot, or you say, all right, well, if I know the 5 to 10s are really hot and they're selling for
and subdivide.
Yeah, then you take only the prime properties that have double-sided road frontage, and if all right, let's say the 5 acres are selling for 10,000 an acre, right? And then market price for a 30 acre with double-sided road frontage is like 5K an acre. That's market price. Like if you were to buy it as is cash, buy it as on the market, it's like 5K an acre. So most people would offer them 2,500 an acre and hope to get a deal. Well, if these prime properties are prime, you could mail them at market price and say, I'll give you 5K an acre market price. Because now they're prime properties. You could go in and chop them up and sell them for 10K an acre as 5 acre parcels, right? So you could buy it at market price and still make money if you know what you're doing, right?
Yeah, exactly. One of the markets that was kind of the tentative plan. Some of them, though, the 5s to 10s were hot, but the 20s to 40s or whatever weren't trading. It was almost the same price per acre, and it wouldn't have made sense. But there's definitely some markets where it makes, and probably if you go upscale, upstream enough and start to go to 60s to 100s or whatever, the math starts to math a little bit better.
Yeah, like I've noticed that in some counties in Texas where stuff is trading for 20K an acre, 10 acres, between the 5 to 10 acres. Then when you went to the 40 acres, everything was like 3K an acre.
Yeah.
I was like, I could literally buy this at market price and chop it up and triple my money.
And your response rate would be bananas if you were mailing people at like 80% or something.
Yeah, 80%, 90% of market price, knowing that you're going to subdivide it. It's just you got to find the prime land. And that's the thing is that if you're not scrubbing and you're just mailing willy-nilly, you would never have success, right? Because you're going to be mailing properties that aren't prime, and these people are going to be like calling you like crazy and blowing up your Pat Live or whatever. And yeah, but if you're knowing that these are all the prime ones and mailing them like that, then you're good. So
Yeah, I need to get a VA on your scrubbing technique
yeah.
pronto. I love it.
Let me ask. I gotta ask my VA actually, because if he's good, like if he knows anybody else that wants to do this, he already gave me his sister who's doing it for somebody else I know, and all that stuff. So could be that. Yeah. Until Land Insights releases the next update, then yeah, you got to get somebody to do it. So, I mean, the only reason why I think you should do it is your experience. You know what you're doing, right? It's just that you need more consistency at it. If you're brand new in doing this, don't scrub. Don't do this stuff. Like this is not a just get your first deal kind of thing. Like just throw mail out the door and just make it happen. But you've been in Leah for a while. You understand all the stuff in and out. So it's just a matter of okay, how can I hone in on this, right?
Sure. Yeah. And in the beginning, maybe I just mail, maybe I just put 10,000 out there right now and then start scrubbing later just to get something, just to refeed the pipelines. It's been a couple months since I got any mail out. So
Yeah.
just to get, you know what I mean? Just to get the phone ringing and get something
Yeah.
in the pipe.
Exactly. Are you using Pat Live or anything or no?
I'm using Answer Force.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, just to keep it going. I mean, even if you shot mail out today, you're not getting a call for 3 weeks.
Exactly.
So you could do everything perfect and still get it out today. It's gonna take time. So it'd be good to just get some, maybe pick a really homogeneous market with a low Gini, or even just a range that has a low Gini, and just price it, mail it. Just send it
Yeah.
out there. Send 2,000 today. Like, you know,
When you do a range letter, you're not doing a purchase. You're not doing a PA with it, right?
I don't really do range offers.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't think if you're doing a range, you're not going to send a PA, to my knowledge, because
Right.
they can write in whatever they want.
Right.
So,
I've had people do that. I've sent a letter to a guy and he crossed off the price on the purchase agreement and wrote like 50 grand over like retail and sent it back to me. I'm like, all right, cool.
thanks,
Yeah, I'll get
bud.
right on that.
Yep, you got it. Sold. Yeah. Well, cool. I mean, I think that's probably like the plan is just to get a little bit out there, get something going, even if it's not 10,000, just get 2K out this week, right? And then get out another 2K next week. Now, while that's out there and being mailed, then maybe take in your processes and say, okay, how can I start getting somebody in here to do stuff for me?
The
Get a
scrub.
VA, yeah, do that stuff, and then getting somebody in there to scrub and all that, right? Um, you could totally find a $3 VA that is going to scrub for you and price your mail, and you just got to do double check it, and that's that. All once you teach them, it's not hard. It's just whatever, and then it'll lighten your load up at least to the point where you're like, okay, I'm good. I could just go in and check this out. They got it 80% there. Let me just get it the last 20 and then send it out to get mailed.
Yeah,
So
that's a great idea. Hopefully I might almost be up with my contract with land with um
data,
Data Tree. Yeah, I couldn't think of the name.
yeah,
And just go right over to Land Vision and start doing that.
yeah. Well, I'll give you my thing for now. Go pull as much data as you want.
Thanks, man. That's
Yeah,
huge. Yeah.
yeah, and then you could scrub it, do whatever you want to do. So I'll give you that, and then um from there, whatever you need, just let me know.
Cool. Do I
So
have to worry about logging on? Because isn't there like one or two logons? I don't want to try to log on when your VA's on there scrubbing or you or Rob are on.
I'll text you. I'll text you the info. We should be good.
Cool.
I don't think Michelle's on there now. I'll text her, and as long as she's not there, then you're good to go.
Or even if it's not right away, I could just do what I have right now, get some mail out, and then when I'm ready to scrub with a VA, then maybe pull the big list from Land Vision.
Yeah. No, I mean I'll give you my thought. She works 4 days a week. So there's only 4 days a week that we have somebody going in on Land Vision. Every
Alright.
other time it's all open because
Cool.
the way I have her work 4 10s instead of 5 days a week now, and she's just more happier.
Yeah.
So she's a lot more happier because she's like, I feel like so refreshed. I get 3 days off, and I'm like, it's amazing. So
410s is the way to go. Like if you're doing a W-2 or whatever you're working for somebody, like 410s is way better because 2 hours a day isn't really.
no,
It's not that much, and then you have an extra day off. I've always.
full day off, and it's like once you get used to it, it's the best. It's the best. Yeah, I'm actually gonna eventually drop her down, pay her the same amount instead of giving her a raise, give her like have her work 4 8s eventually. This way, she's still working. She's only working 32 hours, but she's gonna give me 40 hours worth of work, no problem. So
Right.
instead of giving her a raise, I'm gonna give her more time off. And she gets bonuses and all that stuff anyway, so she's happy as a clam. So she's yeah, treat them like good like that, and they'll always do whatever for you. I bet I guess once property's under contract, working. Not sure how much this matters, but I guess to mitigate risk, once the property's under contract, are you marketing, list on MLS, etc.? And 100% of the time before you close on it. What if does not allow you to market the property you still close? And okay, so Aaron just asked me that. So I don't always just list it. I'm running to mitigate risk. Yeah, if you have, it's a little tough to mitigate all risk, but for the most part, I look at the demand. If the demand is super high, I'm going to buy the property. I'm not even going to stress about it. There's no reason to not buy it, right? The demand's high. There's plenty of activity. It's a good parcel. Somebody's walked it. Buy it. Where's the risk? That's kind of what I look for. If I'm questionable about a property, then that's when I'm going to look for the double close. And if I'm really questionable about it and the seller doesn't want me to double close it, I'm just going to tell them it's not going to be a deal for us. And that's that. So I'm not going to buy something that's bad just because it could have potential. But yeah, so that's just me. But well, cool. Anything else, man?
I don't think so, man. I think we covered a lot.
Sweet.
Hour and 20 minutes. Yeah, I really like the idea of scrubbing with a VA and just whittling that list down to like the prime, the really good stuff. Because you know how it is before that. Like a phone rings off the hook, some are landlocked, some are this, some are that. The slope's crazy. So having somebody, scrub all that out on the front end makes a ton
Mm-hmm.
of sense. So yeah, I'm looking forward to
Yeah. And
doing that.
I'll help you set that up for now too. So I'm gonna send you a thing right now, and then cool. So just stay on for a minute. We'll wrap this up, and I'll send you all this stuff. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Dude, thank you for coming on. Hopefully we could bring you back on in a couple weeks and talk about the deals you just got. That's the
100%.
next step.
Man.
Awesome, bro.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Dennis.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, see you.